I always find it hard to ask questions on this report. I do my very best, but could you just explain what I don't, where is it? What's a consenting sprint?
So a consenting, through your chair, a consenting sprint is really doing the design and build for both the building and resource consenting process. We have adopted what is called an agile approach, and which is just a slightly different way of doing things. They call it a sprint, but really it is going through understanding what the requirements are and designing what that future state will look like for the solution, and then building that future state, for that solution.
And in simple terms, if I can just comment, it's a high-speed design build, and test, and it's a methodology that's quite well accepted for these sorts of programs. So when we refer to sprint, think of it as a series of design, build, test sprints, and it's in a cycle.
Right, so now I know what it is. When you said there was a couple of challenges there, and you mentioned an escalation process, and you'd got 80% of it right and 20% was still in the challenge basket. Is that right? Can you just explain a wee bit more what that actually means?
So in the area of consenting, progress was not at the speed that we were after when we looked back a few months ago. So we escalated that. So in essence, what we've done is we've taken the approach is that there's X amount that they need to do. We wanted to prioritise based upon what has the most impact in the business in Auckland Council from a consenting perspective. So we focused on the 80% of the activity that happens because it's part of the old 80-20 rule. So we focused on that to have that delivered, and that has been delivered, and we're now working through the remaining 20% that needs to be done.
Okay, I've got that. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Penrose.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Probably a bit like Councillor Casey has always asked a difficult to ask a question, and you actually asked my question before I already put my hand up, and that was around are we on time? So first of all, I just want to say, if it don't mind, Mr. Chair, compliment Dean and the team on progress to date, and just to say that we know that when we come into this organisation, we had multiple platforms, and it's about efficiencies and effectiveness and making sure that we can deliver good outcomes to the people of Auckland. So I'm really looking forward to that time frame now. Dean, you've said we're ahead of schedule, especially around our regulatory area. It's really critical to be on one platform across the region, to have those those efficiencies and to be able to deliver good services to the people of Auckland. So well done.
Thank you. Councillor Walker.
Yeah, got a question first, and that's just around the risk and issues that go to transformational change. I mean, there's a one-liner here that says change is required in how council operates. Just wonder if you could expand on that.
So with any new system such as that proposed, it has a fundamental impact on the way we organise ourselves, the roles that people undertake, and in this case we're deliberately building it in, the culture around that. And so when we talk about the transformational change and that as being an area of risk for us, we're highlighting the fact that we're very aware that if we're going to realise the benefits of Nucor on behalf of the customers and the ratepayer, that there's some significant work that needs to happen in that space. Otherwise, Councillor Walker, we won't realise the benefit of the investment that we've made. Okay,
and I'll just make a couple of points just quickly. The first one, just to follow on from the point that Cameron made. Effectively what happened is we had a reset, and the consequence was that there was a massive increase in the expenditure on the project. The other thing though that happened in the reset that I observed at the time, and it was made clear, is that the project was actually delayed, it was pushed out. The consequence of that is that there were a range of savings that had been identified, and I did ask for some time ago what those savings were and what was the consequence of the delay in those savings. I've never had an answer to that question, but it is the other part of the jigsaw that goes to the increase in cost. It's not just the increase in dollar cost that we've got, it's the significant increase across the organisation that impacts on just about everybody, including us, because these efficiency gains weren't weren't made. So just make that point, and obviously we're still suffering in that respect. So there were two aspects. The other concern that I've got is it goes to the massive...
Councillor Walker, that's a question they'll come back and give you an answer on next time. Is it? When I read that? Yes?
We are, and Paul touched on this in his presentation, we're comparing the benefits under reset with the original business case benefits, and we will come back to you, and we expect to do so by the end of this year. I mean, our primary focus is on getting this thing built, but we're very clear that we need to recast the benefits case, and so we'll do that, and we'll have that to you by the end of this year.
Excellent.
Okay,
Thank you.
and the other comment I make, and it just follows on from the observation that Kathy Casey made. There's a huge bundle of money around this project. It's one of the most expensive things we've got. A report like this speaks not just to us, but it speaks to the general public. And it would be helpful to have sort of plain English explanations around what we're talking about here, so that a member of the public can understand what property and consent sprints progressing means, or data governance forum running successfully and the like. Part of the problem around this project, and it also goes to the cost blowout and the like, is it's very difficult for us as governors to have any oversight when it's difficult for us to understand it, and it's almost impossible for us to understand some of this. So I just put that out there.
Yep, thank you.
Well, I find it difficult to
Not for me.
understand it, and I had a little bit of training in the area, so put that to one side.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. Councillor Hulse?
Thank you, Mr Chair. Just, I think, following on from Councillor Walker's, I actually agree with him on a lot of this, but I just think we kind of need to move on a little bit from where we think the reset is. The reset actually happened once we were amalgamated from the Auckland Transition Authority and the Wellington figures, which were, I think, about 8 million for the redoing of the computer system. We challenged that, and those of us just prior to amalgamation, I've said this before, were in the paper quoted as saying closer to 300 million, guys, and were laughed out of class. The reset happened once this council had a sensible and solid look at this, and the reset was still undercooked. We're now finally grappling with all the bits of this, and we need to just move on from that. So I just would appreciate the fact that day zero was prior to amalgamation, where the enormity of this new core project were chronically undercooked, or at worst hidden.
I mean, Councillor Lee.
Hidden.
Last question.
And sorry, Mr Chair, I don't want to cast any aspersions on our staff or our process. Our staff have finally got their hands on all the information. I think there was some
They told us that in 2011.
There was some very good reasons why I think it was sold as a huge saving, when the reality, which is now finally being grappled with by our staff, is the opposite. So I think the reset happened upon amalgamation, when we finally had a jolly good look at what the Auckland Transition Authority had told us.
Chair, I've got a very quick question.
Councillor Lee.
Very quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I would agree with that, and I would congratulate Mr. Kimpton for his leadership in trying to manage this very troubled project. Yes, the key decisions were made before the advent of the Auckland Council. They were made by the Auckland Transition Agency, and yes, sadly it seems, a lot of the costs were hidden or swept under the table or whatever. It would seem, looking at the projections going forward, and given what we know has been spent in the past, we're getting close to spending $1 billion before this is done, if it ever is done, and that is troubling for any organisation. I think I welcome the transparency that we have going forward. I think we need to be clear in our minds, though, and have a reality check about this. There will not be a single platform, IT platform, within the Auckland Council family, despite spending looks like nearly $1 billion. Auckland Transport adopted the Auckland Regional Council IT system, spent $2 million on it, and it works fine. So well that even ATEED is now processing its transactions through that system. There was the fundamental mistake. Whoever made the decision to go for this system, rather than adopting an existing one, must take the blame for spending all this money. I'll just make that point.
Thank you. Councillor Wood, this is the last.
Well, I wasn't here at the start. Is someone here from EY? Are they still involved in the project?
EY remain our independent quality assurance advisors, and they'll do so throughout the whole program, but I haven't bought them today.
Okay, so do you get regular reports from EY on progress? What's the relationship with EY?
Yes, we do get regular reports. They review all of our reports, and those reports continue to be available publicly. We've made all of their independent reports available publicly. I can't, and if you would like to see that, then we can make that available.
Yeah, well, I'd certainly like to see it. Maybe other councillors would too. The latest ones, yeah.
All right, thank you. Right, I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Against? Yeah, thank you, Dean. Thank you. Right, we will move back to item 11.